Okay, as Ms. Davis mentioned, my name is Mr. Fineman, and I'm going to be teaching you a lesson today. I'll tell you what it's about, but before we get into it, can I just have, show of hands, can people describe what this shirt is? Maybe like one word, what it looks like?
Dirty.
Dirty, yeah.
Not that pleasing.
Not that pleasing, right? Old, yeah.
Small.
Small, yeah. Blue,
White and blue.
yep. Wow. Disgusting. Okay, well, this shirt actually has special powers. I'll explain to you. I'm gonna be married in 2.5 months, and this girl that I'm gonna marry is super out of my league, but when I met her, I was wearing this shirt. So when I met her, it was she went to college with me, and it was on the sidewalk in Boston. And I said, "Oh, hi, you went to Wheaton, right?" And she said, "Yeah, but that's not why I'm coming to talk to you. I want to talk to the parking guy." So I'm like, okay, like she's not interested in me, but this shirt, I'm like, even though she hates me, I'm just going to keep pursuing her. I don't know how to take no for an answer, so I'm like, yeah, no, I'm actually a twin. You might have called me James. And she's like, well, what's your name? Is your name Paul? And she said, I'm going to go to this restaurant with my friends. I said, what a coincidence, that's where I'm going, which was a complete lie. I called my friend and I said, hey, Ian, I know we're supposed to go here. We have to go to the Granary Tavern. That's where she is not interested in me at all, but I think this is the only opening. Long story short, for whatever reason, she fell in love with me for reasons I can't explain. We're going to be married in a few months. And I had this shirt on. It might as well have been Superman's cape when I had it. I won her over. So, two different descriptions of the story, what you said and what I said about the story. Why don't, for maybe 2.5 minutes, you four talk amongst each other, just the difference between how your description of the shirt was from mine. So you 5 talk amongst yourself for a few minutes, and you 4 just talk about maybe the difference between the shirt.
He described the story of what he was wearing.
Right.
We described it how it looks.
And we described it how it's yeah. We described like what he was doing with it.
We just saw.
You just described it like
We saw it totally. You saw it as like a sweaty described it. It's kind of like if you have like a really pretty artifact, and it's like something that when other people look at it, it's just like it's like a moth that's like like a stuffed animal that's all cheese on and red and brown and everyone. No, guys. So he asked like, why do you keep that teddy bear? But like to you, it's like, and we did it by the looks, like we described it.
John. No, we described stories of him wearing it. We just described what it looks like.
Which is dirty, disgusting, old, dirt, blue.
But it's really like oh yeah, like a picture of something. Okay. Go. I made my frog noise.
All right, let's come back. Can I have a show of hands, maybe the difference between how your description of the shirt was?
Well, we talked about how when you asked us to describe it, we described it by the looks.
Right.
We described it by the meaning of it and like the story of it.
Yeah.
We talked about how like everyone has like their own item that looks like a chewed up stuffed animal that's all brown and and somebody will look at it and like, why are you keeping that? But
No.
you have a story about it.
That's a great point. What's your name?
Cooper.
Cooper. Remember what Cooper said, because we're going to go back to that specific point later. So you were describing the story. I was describing the story. What's a person that tells a story? What's their title? Narrator, right? Narrator or speaker. Oh, can't even read my writing. So, so do you think it's important how the person or narrator tells the story? Does it influence? Yep.
Like if the narrator said a really exciting part in like a really upset like voice, the book won't be as good.
Right. Yeah, that could be the best story in the world, the greatest story, but if you don't have any life to it, why would the listeners get excited about it? If I told my story like, no, I had this shirt on and I'm marrying somebody, but I did have this blue shirt on, you'd be like, why do I care about this blue shirt? It brings me to another question: Is either one of the versions right? Like, is my version right or is your version right? Think about that question. And a story, I don't know if you obviously all heard of the Three Little Pigs. I read a story, it was actually from the wolf's point of view, and it talked about, look, I was just really hungry, and I just wanted to go to these pigs, and I just was going to borrow a cup of sugar, but every time I went to the door, they threw stuff at me. I didn't do anything. I just wanted to be friends with them. So the wolf thinks he's right. He thinks he's just telling his side of the story. The pigs think they're right. So when the same groups discuss, I'd say for 5 minutes or so, discuss if one of them is right, if there's a right or wrong in the situation. So I'll be walking around if you have any questions, but for right now, start on if there's a point of view that's right or wrong.
Yeah, like it is each person has shirt and there's something you can say about it. But it has a story. Each person has a So it's not that anything's right, it's that they have opinions on it. Yeah. Each person has a different opinion.
Oh my gosh. Like there was this commercials like the bears. No, it has to do with the story. But bears were chasing these people. It's a car commercial, and the bears were chasing. And then when they drive away, the bears like, oh, I just wanted to be friends.
Makes sense.
No, that's what they say. No, I just wanted to hug him. He's like, I just wanted a hug.
Any questions? All makes sense.
We think that we were both right because
It really describes how it looks.
Yeah, just the different points of view. It just sort of depends on who's talking. Try and think about, like, if you can come up with maybe one definition, because we're going to go back to see if we can come up with one definition of, the importance of the narrator's point of view. So try and think if there was a definition, if you had like a vocab test, narrator's point of view, what would, try and get maybe one sentence definition.
Okay, guys. Can say so what's the point of view? Not the point of view that
It seems like you guys have a pretty good grasp of it. I told that group, trying to think of like a one universal definition of the importance of if you can read that, narrator's point of view, how it influences the story, as you mentioned. If you had to give like a one-sentence definition about why it's important or the importance of it, what it means, try and discuss a little bit on that, because you got a good grasp of, you're on the right track with everything else. So, and then we'll discuss it as a group.
We both see a different like I see your desk as a mess. What? I see your desk as a mess. And you sit in that like guys.
Question? We're gonna got another minute or so, then we'll regroup.
It's important because it has a story and it comes from something.
You know what? I get personal brain, which like it makes you remember something.
Like each one, if we were the producer, each one.
Yeah, like
Early
yeah,
or
like
teacher.
yeah, like or like sometimes I look on like maps my skills. The definition of narrator. I like the definition. I'm telling you. Yeah, I really like it.
Someone ate like a donut at the trash.
All right, could we take our original seats? We're gonna discuss what you talked about a little further. Okay, I know I spoke to each group individually, but I wanted you to come up with a universal definition. But before we go into it, as Cooper mentioned earlier, you have your own personal stories of how, you know, the speaker, the narrator influenced how the story was told. Maybe if you didn't feel you should get punished by your parents were really upset you broke the window, you were just trying to save a kitten from a tree and you fell and you cracked the window. You know, it can. So I'm going to go around. Think about maybe a time where you felt your point of view influenced the story, or maybe if you did it a certain way, if you told the story a certain way, it would have influenced how the situation went. Yes, Cooper.
So we thought that it's important because like it comes from someone and something. Like if you have something that came from like your grandma, it's really important to you because that's what it's from. And people have like different point of views on something. Like earlier in the year we went to Teva, which is like a camp.
Yeah.
And different people had different opinions about it. Like some people might have thought it was really cold and damp, and some people thought it was awesome. And like the food was amazing, but
People didn't like it? So that would be your personal account. You went, you loved it, some people didn't like it, and just the importance of how you feel about a specific event.
Like if you get in a fight with one of your siblings or something, like sometimes you'll tell your parents, like, but he was making a really annoying noise, so I poked him and then he slapped me.
Yeah.
And then your brother will be like, but she was poking me, so I slapped her.
Yeah. Did that happen?
Probably.
Yeah, yeah. So if you were telling the story from your narrator point of view, your parents would think, oh, like, well, he was doing this, but if your brother said, yeah, but she slapped me, and well, that's not right either, so, yep.
We can like the narrator has to be specific about what he's saying, because he can't just say the wolf flew down the house. Like they have to have a reason.
Right.
Like you need a reason. You have to be specific about it.
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, you know, if you just said, oh, the wolf flew down the house, you'd be like, oh, but he's like, the wolf huffed and puffed, and then, you know, just didn't, got really, like, wow, they must, have to have a reason for it. Any other personal stories of how you were narrator that might have impacted the story? Yes.
Wow, like what Zosha said, like I got in fights
Great. Okay.
And like my mom and dad are always like if I say my view of the story, they're like, oh yeah, like that was wrong of him, but then he talks.
Right.
And then it's like,
Yeah, like if he wasn't there to defend himself, and you said, oh yeah, like I did my homework, and he ripped it in half, right? Then they'd be like, oh my God. Well, we're gonna talk to him when he gets back home. But then if he was there, and then he'd just get in trouble. But then if he came back and said, no, but that's because she put snow in my backpack. These are things that happen to my brother and I. That's why I'm saying it. Then you'd have more of a sit-down discussion, like, okay, well, you were both wrong. I see why you're upset. I see why you're upset because you did a good job describing it as the narrator. You were just the same as the author was a narrator of Three Little Pigs. You were the narrator of your little story of what happened amongst each other. So let's try and bring it all together. I saw a couple of bullet points of what a universal definition might be, but let's try and get like a one-sentence definition of describing how a narrator's point of view influences how the event is described. Maybe just a one sentence that we can all agree on. This is, I'm not saying it, I'm not coming up with a definition. You all as a group come up with it. Yes?
Maybe like there are two separate parts of the story, and one was very different from the other.
Yeah. Separate points of view. That's a good start. Anybody else?
How about different opinions of the story?
Separate points of view, different opinions. Okay. Yes. Never mind. Yep.
Just like how each person's brains, let's say, processes it differently.
That's a
so
good
let's
one.
say
Yeah.
I walk into a park, and I
Right.
say, wow, this park is fun, right? Let's go play on the swings. And then let's say Cooper comes in and says, wow, this park is boring,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then just like walks off.
When someone else comes in,
Okay,
it's
so
like-
let's
Each one has different opinions on
Yep.
the same thing.
I love that point. Let's make this more associated with like the vocabulary of the reader. So if the narrator is the person telling the story, who would the person processing it be? Reader, right? So how each reader processes story. Okay. Anything else? This is a great start. We'll be able to put this all together quite nicely. Good?
I agree with that.
Agree with this too? Maybe one more. Yep.
Some people look at stuff differently.
Right?
Like, some people will see the black apple, other people have something.
Yep.
Like,
I'll do that.
say someone goes and looks at a bike or whatever, and he's like, wow, this is a really good bike, I can go really fast on it,
Right.
and it seems really soft. The other person goes and it's like, oh, gross, the paint's chipped and it has gum stuck on it.
Yeah. Let's discuss. Yep.
Also, like, kind of like Moshe, like, someone who has a very nice car, goes up to, like, a kind of ratty car and be like, oh, this is a terrible car. And then someone who doesn't have a car at all would be like, oh, this is such a nice
Wonderful.
car.
Yeah. They give me from. So being grateful for certain things. Did any of you see the movie Count of Monte Cristo? No, probably not. Yeah, well, I don't have to go into the whole story, but one friend was super rich and super selfish, and he had a friend that wasn't rich at all, but he was so happy with life and everything. and he hated his friend. He actually ended up double-crossing him.
What's it rated?
You can watch. It's I believe it's PG or PG. It's actually a book from a long time ago. But he said he was just so upset because this is back. It took place in the 1800s, and this kid got a horse. The rich kid got a horse for his birthday, and he's like, ugh, like it's not really the horse that I wanted. Which horses are extremely expensive, and this kid, his poor friend, just got a stupid little whistle for Christmas, or no, it was actually his birthday, and this kid was so overjoyed with his stupid little whistle. His friend was so like he hated him. He's like so being grateful for what you have. If that kid with the whistle saw a beat up car, he'd be like, oh my God, what a great car. If the other kid be like, this is terrible, I don't want it. So I think we got all of the bullet points. Let's put it into one sentence. So narrator's point of view, how it influences. So let's say narrator's point of view is influenced heavily on, let's say, their optimism. If you feel that's the half glass, half full, their optimism. And what do we say, how people process it? Do you think that how the readers process it is just as important as the narrator's point of view? A little less, a little more? Think it's equal?
I think it's equal.
Think it's equal?
The narrator's writing the story, and it's like what he's writing, and it's what he thinks about his own story, and the reader is reading it for joy. So
right.
He's just like,
if he's got a great story, no one wants to hear it. So heavily on their optimism, and equally, we'll underline, it's heavily on their optimism, equally impacted by the reader's optimism and what do we say? Opinion. So, and difference of opinion and ways of processing story. So if I can read my handwriting, let's read this back. Definition that come up with: narrator's point of view is influenced heavily on their optimism and equally impacted by the reader's optimism and the difference of opinion and processing story. Let's go, of reader. Okay, so let's take this rough draft definition that we've come up with, and why don't we put it back into some of the stories that we talked about. So let's go with this one right here. So let's say, with your homework, you put snow in her backpack. Let's just go with that one. Do you feel that that story is influenced heavily by your optimism? Like if you told that story, you might be really upset that your sister ripped your homework in half, right? So if you came to your dad or your mom and you were just out of control, upset that she ripped your homework, and you were crying and like pulling your hair and throwing things, right? Your parents might say, could you see your parents saying, you know what, I know you're fun, but you have to calm down before you, right? But if you went to your mom with optimism, and you said, Mom, I know you look very pretty today. I just want to tell you about something that bothered me a little bit. What's your sister's name? Okay. She ripped my homework that I worked very hard on, and I said, please stop, and she didn't. She just ripped it in half. Can you please talk to her? And vice versa. If you had a brand new backpack and you were so upset that he stuffed snow in your backpack, you're like, oh, Mom, I can't, and you just took the snow in the bag and just threw it all over the house and cleared the table, you'd be like, whoa, like, settle down, what's going on? But if you said, you know, I feel bad, it's a backpack I really love, I just bought it, he stuffed snow in it. You feel like you probably would both be grounded. But
that might not
do you feel like you might get a better reaction from your mother if you acted, you know, a little bit more nice and you were more optimistic? I mean, you both had a difference of opinion, correct? And you both had different ways of processing the story. You know, you were just upset because your homework got ripped in half. You were just upset he stuffed snow in your bag. But your parents, your mom might have had a long day at work. She might not even want to hear about your day. She's like, oh, I just hope I come home and my kids just comb my hair and leave and let me have a nap. But then she has to deal with this problem that you're talking about. So do you think that falls into this definition we came up with?
Maybe the mom has the same amount of optimism after she gets angry.
Right? Did everyone hear Cooper?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe she's just a super saint that's like, well, I have great children that want to talk out their problems. Or maybe she just had a tough day at work. She got in an argument because Dad forgot to lock the garage door and a raccoon came in, and she just had an awful day and she doesn't want to deal with that. So that would fall in, like Cooper said, into her optimism. And not only is it equally as important as how you told it, but it's how the reader, in this case your mom, would process it. Can we, what other story do we talk about? Oh yeah.
The park.
Yeah, the park. Right, let's go to that. So let's say who liked the park and who hated the park.
You liked it, and you hated it.
Okay, so you come home, let's just say you hang out at your house and your mom says, oh, how was your day? Cooper says, oh, it was great, like, and he's optimistic. Oh, it was awesome. I saw a squirrel and it was eating this nut and it was really cute. And then it went up the tree and had a nap and it was so great. Like, we took pictures, it was wonderful. And what's your name? Ishai. If Ishai says, oh yeah, field trip was terrible, and he's like stomping his feet and upset, Cooper's mom would be like, oh my, like, you know, from a difference of processing, she'd be like, this field trip must be terrible. He's stomping his feet. He said a seagull ate his lunch. And she might think, because of how her story is being processed and the optimism, difference in optimism between Cooper and Ishai, that it's a different story. Like, how could they have the same? It doesn't make sense. They went to the park. He saw a lovely squirrel. He lost his lunch to a seagull. Okay. Does let's do a show of thumbs. Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, thumbs down. If you're in agreement with, like, if you feel like this can be applied to everything. And I know what you're thinking, I'm just going to give a thumbs up, so I agree with everybody. Wrong. You're going to have to answer why this makes sense. So it doesn't need one sentence tops. Let's just go through Cooper. Why is this?
I think it makes sense because every story has a side to it,
Mm-hmm.
and every story is different.
All depends.
Anyone can have their own opinion.
Yep.
I think it makes sense because everyone has their own side of something, and the reader can tell if what's happening to their side.
Yep.
If their story, if you're having, if it's a sibling fight, you know that you're not gonna tell it apart, or you did the thing.
Right.
That is wrong.
Right.
You're just gonna say what
What
your sibling said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go one more.
I think it's also because, you there's two sides of the story, and, not one person is right.
Yeah, it's just how there's always two sides of the story, and if you're so convinced it's right. Let's go actually one more.
Because all the people that, like, if you got into a fight with someone else, both of the people would have their side of an opinion and or an argument for their side of the story.
I think you all did a great job with this. You've been an excellent class. Not too many classes are as good as you, so thank you very much. I appreciate it, and yes.
Do you work at the YMCA?
I did actually, New Bedford, Mass, not the one around here. Good question though. Thank you very much.